Hello everybody, Mannix here. Going to be doing a knife review on the CRKT Outrage. Now every now and again I sift through CRKT's knives, just like I do all knife companies. Every here and there I like to see if there's anything new, anything that really piques my interest. This is one of those knives that piqued my interest. I happen to be a huge fan of a lot of Ken Onion's designs. This happens to be a design by Ken Onion right here. There's a lot of things I really like about this knife. Absolutely gorgeous. Completely functional, very comfortable. It's got the IKBS system in there. There's really nothing negative I have to say about this knife. Short version of the review is if you like the way this knife looks, buy it. It's very affordable. It functions very well for its price point. And if you've been familiar with a lot of CRKT's knives in the past, you probably know that it's functional. It functions just as well as just about all the others. And one of the things I really like about CRKT in particular is that you never know what you're going to get with their knives. They collaborate with so many other knife makers, knife designers, etc. They don't really have a stable design. It's not like Spyderco. And a lot of the Spyderco knives look similar. They got that signature thumb hole right there. And then you have the Benchmades all look very similar with their axis locks, and they follow a similar contour as far as their knives go. Cold Steel, most of them got their big old beefy triad locks on there. So on and so forth. CRKT, though, you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like a randomizer box. A lot of their knives are completely different looking from each other. Some of them look like Kershaw's. Some of them look like some of the Boker knives to me. It's just they're all over the place. And every now and again, they make something that's just absolutely gorgeous. And that's what I think about the Outrage right here. Just took one look at it in the pictures. And I'm scrolling through. I was like, whoa, what's that one? Ooh, look at the picture. Heck yes, I want one. Not terribly expensive. Sure, I'll buy it. That's another thing I like about CRKT. Sorry to get on a little rant right here about how much I like the company and what I like about the company, but they're affordable for the most part. A lot of their knives are not like in the hundreds, generally speaking. They're usually sub $70 knives or so. And they make really cheap stuff too, stuff that's closer into like the $30 range and less. That's something I really like about their knives because they use more affordable blade steels. But anyway, enough about the company itself. Let's get on to this knife. Let's start with the specs, as I always do. Blade length is 3.19 inches. Overall length being 7.88 inches. And the handle length itself being 4.67 inches, if you didn't do all the math in your head just there. Weighs 4.5 ounces. We have an 8CR13 MOV blade steel. Satin finish. We have what appears to be a hollow grind on there. Aluminum handles. And we have stainless steel liners in there. Liner lock, by the way. IKBS system, which makes it extra smooth. It is completely manual. It is not assisted. There is no spring in here whatsoever. Flicks out very fast. Tip up right hand carry only. It's a little bit different for CRKT. You may be familiar that a lot of their knives are tip down, right hand carry only. This one, you are limited to just the tip up. Saints be praised. Most of us like that. Unfortunately, it is not left-hand friendly as far as the pocket clip is concerned. Come on, step it up, CRKT. You can do better than that. But regardless, most people are going to want right-hand tip-up carry. I'd say probably 80%, if not more, of the EDC community when they're looking at a knife that has a pocket clip on it, that's what they're looking for. If I remember correctly, this retails at $60, but the cheapest I found it was on eBay for $48, new, by the way. When sometimes you say eBay or Amazon, a lot of people think you're buying it directly from that company. Oftentimes eBay and Amazon distribute products from other sellers, so it could be another seller entirely with a different name on it. Don't remember what it was offhand, but $48 or $47, something like that, was the absolute cheapest I found this knife. Totally adequate for what you're getting right here. You could get something a little bit more functional for the money, but if I were to directly compare this to the Spyderco Tenacious, that knife you can get for about $57, $58 right now, early, mid 2022, filming this early April 2022. This knife is absolutely adequate for that price point. You may be able to get a slightly better blade steel. You may be able to get a design you're looking for that's a little better for your needs for about that price point, but I think that's absolutely adequate. You could say it's a little on the pricey side. Yeah, as far as its overall function goes, sure. You might be able to get something a little bit better for a little bit cheaper. However, you're not going to get this elegant design. You're not going to get this fit and finish. You're not going to get the IKBS system along with all of these things, most likely. It's not just blade steel and handle material. There's a little bit more to, and size. There's a little bit more to it than that goes into knives. And most people know this, but not everybody does. So if you want that extra bit of elegance, you're going to be spending the extra $10 or whatever it is compared to other knives out there. I really, really like it. It's classy and kind of a gentleman's folder, kind of a lady's folder. It's a little bit big for a lady's folder anyway, I would think, but you never know. Some women have larger hands. It fits my hand very well. I wish it was just a little bit bigger. I have large size hands for reference, but I happen to like larger knives. But I would say this is a medium size folder right here. It's squarely in the middle. It's not a big knife. It's not a small knife. It is medium size, so it's going to float most people's boats. Is it good for tactical use? It will work in a pinch. It's not bad for it. It's not great for it either. It's not my first knife I would pick for a defensive blade, but it will certainly work in a pinch. So it's not bad for it. I would not call it a tactical blade, but it's not bad either. We'll get into that in just a minute here. Overall, it's going to be an EDC blade, but there's a lot of potential here. It's not just an EDC blade. I mean, you can really see all the choils in here, how well it kind of locks your hand in. Despite being an aluminum handle or any kind of metal handle, really, we have kind of a traction plan on here. It's not great, but it's not bad either. Decent jimping right here. And you can see it's pretty, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. It's not super sharp. We have kind of these rounded looking cuts, which is a little bit more friendly. It still locks your thumb in pretty well. Not as well as like super sharp jimping or anything, but it works. I like the attention to detail right here we see on the spine of the blade. It matches up with the cutouts in the top of the handle right here. Same thing right here. I love these little shallow cuts, they almost look like teeth marks or something done in the liner lock right here, which continues on with the jimping in the flipper right there. Another little nice detail. Flipper works every single time. The IKBS system, if you're not familiar with that, is a track with a bunch of ball bearings on it typically. Probably won't be able to, you can't really see it through there, but it makes the blade a lot smoother and a lot quicker to deploy. Again, this is completely manual. There is no spring, no torsion bar. You can see how readily that slides out every single time. You do not need an automatic knife. You don't even need an assisted knife anymore. I'm not really even a fan of those to begin with, generally speaking. I like them sometimes, but this works absolutely well every single time. Completely deploys out with no wrist movement whatsoever. Very smooth. Just keep it oiled and you'll be all set to go. Lockup is fantastic. No up and down. No side to side really that I can feel. Very solid lockup overall. Weight isn't too bad. Again, 4.5 ounces according to the website, CRKT's official website anyway. Could be lighter, but it is a metal handle. Aluminum's pretty light for a metal handle, but it is still a metal handle. It's not going to be as light as FRN. Will it be lighter than G10? That's actually an interesting question. I don't know if aluminum is lighter than G10. Some people might think that's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm trying to make that comparison. Of course, aluminum's more heavy. Is it? I'm not actually sure. G10's pretty dense. G10 is considerably more heavy than FRN, that's for sure. But it's not as elegant. I like the elegance of this aluminum handle, the gray. It kind of reminds me of a titanium look to it. I like the lines right here. I like all the lines that match up with the jimping there. I like this sort of dot pattern. It's not my favorite or anything, but it's very interesting. There's all these little cutouts, all these little drill marks I have to put in here. The attention to detail, all these little things add up to the cost of the knife. They could have thrown an FRN handle on here, put no designs in there whatsoever. You'd probably save a few bucks on the knife overall. Sure, but you won't get this design. You won't get this elegance. Every little thing, everything you do to a knife adds up to its cost. So that's why I don't want to say it's on the pricey side, but you can get knives closer to the $30 range, about this size with similar materials. But you're spending just a little bit more for this elegance and for that ball bearing system. I do know that costs them just a little bit more to produce. Absolutely love this pocket clip right here. I love that design. I really pay attention to the way pocket clips look on knives. Absolutely. A lot of them, they'll have a really nice looking knife and then they'll slap on some just junky looking cheap pocket clip on their knife. And I'm like, why did they do that? They probably save some money with that. But this, beautiful. It complements the design here. It adds to it. It just, I don't know how to describe it. I like how it matches up with the cutout in the handle right there for sure. It's on an angle. It's not a completely symmetrical pocket clip. It is asymmetrical. I love it. It carries really nicely. It is a deep carry clip. As you can see here, it loops over. The 3 Torx screws in there can be reached through the cutout they put in the pocket clip itself, so you can take it out if you wish to do that. It is stone washed. Very covert, not a whole lot's going to be poking out of your pocket there. Very little. It's very elegant. It's a very elegant, smooth, fast knife. Love this blade. Absolutely love this belly right here. It might look a little confusing if you see the spine, but if you were to remove the spine or just make the spine straight, that's what's going on right there as far as the edge is concerned. It's a blade that just, the edge kind of protrudes out just a little bit, but then it makes a pretty normal sweep up to the tip right there. So it's it's like a fat drop point, basically. It's a drop point with a little slight extra belly right there, which will help for slicing capabilities in this motion just a little bit. The rocking motion will help a little. But we have a very acute point right here, and I like how the spine kind of does a recurve up here, which will kind of throw some people off. They'll look at this and kind of understand, well, that's a weird blade. Again, remove the spine. That's what's going on. It's very simple cutting edge. Again, slightly extreme, but not too much. But we have a recurve that goes upward and then back down to the point. Is there an advantage to that? A little bit. I guess you lose some weight by not having the whole thing add up to the very end of the spine of the blade right here. I know that this sounds weird. There's like a slight cutout. It dips slightly, and then it protrudes back out until it reaches the point. So it's not too acute. It won't pierce as well as a blade that's more acute, but you have a little bit more strength here too. We have a nice little swedge on there as well. So we have an acute tip right here, but it's not too acute to the point that it'll snap or break easily. It's actually a very nice design. It reminds me of something Ken Onion would do, the designer of this knife. Very organic curves. It's very gorgeous. Ergos are fantastic. I love the big old choil that you can lock your index finger in. Just like almost every flipper in existence, it doubles as a guard. It adds onto the choil right here. It's a nice little touch. We have an indentation, a nice curve on the spine of the handle, as well as the blade. Your thumb can really lock in the jimping right there. This is where most of the grip is going to be the index finger and the thumb, like most knives. But then we have two extra cutouts right here. It's very comfortable. We have a wide, kind of shallow cutout right here. And even though there's points right here, and if you look at my grip, it's kind of digging into my ring finger, it's not uncomfortable. It may be a hot spot if I really used it, but I don't know, my ring finger and my pinky aren't gripping the knife that hard. It's mostly the index finger, the thumb, the middle finger, and then these two fingers down here just kind of doing whatever, resting there. So it's not as uncomfortable as it may look. If you had smaller hands, maybe this knife would fit you just a little bit better. Again, large size. They're not too huge, but I don't have small hands either. If you had smaller hands, this may fit you even better. It just barely fits my entire hand. I wish I had just a little bit more to grip onto, again, because I like the bigger, fatter knives. It's not a slim knife, but it's not a thick knife either. By the way, we have an Frn Back Spacer. It looks like right here. I love this pattern. The cutouts, it kind of looks like a little spine or something, and it protrudes out of the handle too, which I love. It's not really doing a whole lot. My hand's basically not even touching it, unless you're in the reverse grip. And then it will kind of add a little something. It doesn't really do very much, so it's more aesthetic than anything. But I do like the bite down they have right here. It matches your thumb perfectly, just like that. So if you do want to carry it in reverse grip, it works very well for that too. Most of the time, this is going to be a fighting or defensive type grip, so you're not going to use this too much in EDC tasks, but you could. It is extremely comfortable. I just really like the way it looks. It's very smooth. It's very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, just take a look at its design right there. I love all the cutouts. And I love it's almost like a little ocean surfing. Wave it goes up, rounded, dips back down, points back up right when the blade begins, and we sweep down, and then we swoop up just a little bit before sliding onto the tip. It's like ocean waves. I don't know, I'm thinking of aquatic themes right now. I don't know why that is. It kind of reminds me of a shark or some sort of sea creature. Great white. There's some sort of gray shark, maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking of. Might think I'm completely bonkers for saying that, but that's the theme I'm getting from this knife right here. Is very organic curves, but a lot of choils, a lot of cutouts, a lot of sweeping motions that fit your hand very well. Despite not being the most grippy, it's not super smooth, but it's not a grippy knife by any means. We have some nice jimping right here where it's needed, and it locks your hand in just enough. It is just jimpy enough. Jimpy? It is just textured enough. There's just enough bite to it so it can lock your hand in, but it's more about the cutouts in the handle that really lock your hand in rather than texturing. That's the word I'm looking for. And then, of course, somebody messages me while I'm making a video. Sorry about that, if you heard that. And there it is again. So let me put my phone on silence here. And messaging me again every time I try to press the button to make my phone go silent. Oh, I can't. There's another message. Wow, please. You know, it's kind of funny when people send you like 6 little messages instead of one big message. That's annoying. I'm going to leave all that in. I'm not going to edit it out, even though I clearly have been editing this video because you see it fading. here and there, and I do audio work to it, so it's a little bit easier to hear. But I chose to leave it all in. I could have cut it all out, and I didn't. So there you go. Anyway, I basically made all my points. It flicks out every single time. It's really fast. Affordable. It's not super cheap, but it's by no means expensive either. It's a sub $50 folder for the most part. Absolutely elegant. A lot of attention to detail. Gorgeous fit and finish on this one. Good lockup. Deploys very fast. As like I said, carries really nicely. I love the way it looks. Every single part of this knife almost looks like it was designed for this knife, other than maybe the hardware. They have just generic hardware here, talking about the screws, but everything else looks very proprietary. Little lanyard hole right there if you wanted to use it. I pretty much never use lanyard holes on folders, but you can. Gorgeous, very eccentric. That's another word I'm looking for, eccentric. Look at the sweep on that blade right there. It's absolutely gorgeous. It'd be great for piercing. It'll be good for slashing. Not the best. More of our bellies down here towards the base of the blade rather than the tip. When you're doing slashes, you want more of your belly up here, but in a pinch, it'll work just fine. It'll be an okay defense knife. It'll be a good EDC knife. It's not really excellent at anything in particular other than looking sweet. It looks sweet, and it is very functional. But when you make a knife really nice looking, sometimes you do sacrifice a little bit of function. It's absolutely a functional blade. I'm not saying it's not. I fell in love with it from day one since I looked at it, and a good friend of mine got me it as a gift, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you so much. Let's look at one more thing. Could you use this little choil in the blade as a second, as a choil for your finger? You could, but you're getting really close. In fact, you are touching that cutting edge. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you're doing something really mundane. I would avoid doing that. But it looks like it's meant to be used as a finger choil, isn't it? Yeah. Very nice, crisp, clean cut right there too, by the way, for the edge. So absolutely gorgeous. I don't know what else to say about it. It's not the most amazing knife ever as far as function goes, but it is good. It'll float everyone's boat, generally speaking. It's kind of a gentleman/ladies knife. It's kind of fancy looking, but it's kind of aggressive looking at the same time. It's not a complete gentleman's folder. It is very functional. It is very efficient. IKBS system just throws it over the top. It makes it very smooth, very gorgeous, but in a pinch, it will work as a defensive or tactical blade as well. It's not the greatest, but it will still work for that. So it's an all-around good knife, and it's very affordable. Absolutely love this thing. I have pretty much nothing negative to say about it. Nothing big, anyway. I love carrying this knife. Carries so well, deploys well. The only thing I can say is the CRKT MOV blade steel. It's on the cheaper side, but it gets razor sharp, guys. The Spyderco Tenacious line uses it. Lots and lots of knives all over the place use it. You throw a more expensive blade steel in there, you're going to be paying more. Some people don't mind that. Some people wouldn't mind paying the $90 or whatever it would be if you throw in a better blade steel. Yeah, you could throw something better on there, but you're going to pay more. And again, CRKT MOV cuts through paper like it's air. Cuts through most materials just fine. Got no complaints about it. And sharpens really quickly, too. So there's some advantages to having the softer blade steels. So anyway, that is the CRKT Outrage. Complete home run from CRKT and Ken Onion. I love the guy's knives. It's absolutely gorgeous. So there you go. Oh, wait, no. Review's not over yet. I wanted to compare it to the CRKT Foresight, another Ken Onion knife. One of my favorite CRKTs ever. It reminds me of it. They've both got the IKBS system. They're both made with aluminum handles. I mean, this one's got a slightly better blade steel, I think. I think it's AUS 8. This one's CRKT MOV, but pretty similar. This one's considerably more expensive, but you get more material. It is bigger. It is heavier. So I guess you can't really complain there. But if this guy is too big for you, a little bit too chunky, a little bit too heavy, try stepping down to the Outrage right here. It might float your boat just a little bit more. So anyway, that is it.